We are back with you live once again here on the Torch News Roundup, number 97 Torch News Roundup. We've got a lot of Torch News Roundups under our belt now at this point, but more importantly, it is the big 100th live broadcast. 100 live broadcasts. Round of applause, everybody. Round of applause. You're the guys that made it possible, the few of you that are loyal and keep up with my streams, watch them after they've been live. I don't care how you watch them, but especially the previous She-Ra episode, that went through the roof. I've got close to 60 views now at this point on that one. So I'm glad that one did very successful. You know, it's all in measurements. Like, for instance, the last news roundup we did 10 views, which is respectable for my, measuring against other videos. But then, of course, the Teen Titans trailer, or just Titans, the review trailer, I did got 0 views, and it's been like 3 days. So you win some, you lose some. But as I'm always saying, the chat room is open. If anybody wants to interact, I'll be very happy to enjoy this 100th big broadcast with some guests. I believe there's a way to call in. I don't know how that works, really, to be totally honest with you. But if any of you know how to do that and want to try to call me, I would take some calls today on this very special broadcast. I was considering, because this is the big 100th broadcast, maybe I would turn on the camera for a change. You'd actually get to see yours truly. The problem with that is I am in a very... It's an unappealing room. Now, I see other guys when they do videos, they got the big bookcase full of DVDs, and they got great posters on the walls and stuff like that. I've got posters, I've got DVDs, but in the position I'm in, where I'm sitting right now, behind me is an air conditioner. There is a kind of ratty drape that's to the left of me. There's a rolled up ratty drape to the right of me. It's not really a great looking background. I kind of would rather wait until I could get my camera set up in a location that would be more visually appealing. I think some of you probably already know what I look like, because I've left interviews that I've done on Twitter and on my website. So it's not really the best kept secret ever. I just don't do visual videos, because visual live streams, I guess I'm trying to say, because what I do is I basically am reading from my notes, and I'm tapping away trying to get the pictures up. You're just going to see me looking down, looking to the left, looking to the right. I don't believe that's good television. I think the host has to look at the camera. And if 90% of the time I'm going to be looking down, looking to the left or right, that's not really great entertainment. And, maybe I'll get better at that. But as it is currently, that's basically what my show consists of. I'll be constantly looking down. I remember Captain Logan. I used to get nuts watching him, because he always looks off to the side. And he's constantly looking off and not really looking at the camera. That used to bug me. And I realize now it's kind of hard to post the stuff by reading your notes and this and that if you're going to, because I think he has a teleprompter. But again, I evoke the name of Captain Logan because, as I've always said, if you haven't heard, we're going to do a little reminiscing in this episode here. But the way I got into doing live broadcasts, or videos in general, I should say, was from Captain Logan. He was the first YouTube host, I guess I could say, that I used to watch regularly. I don't watch him as much anymore. I think that the channel kind of got away from me a little bit. That's nothing against Captain Logan. He's the same as he ever was. And, more power to him. He's still very popular. But at the time, my first ad, I was trying to popularize Bullets Bourbon because my first issue had come out. So I sent him a press release. He read it. I'm not sure he really got it. I don't know if anybody ever did, but Vince was still with him at the time. So it was a fun video. I put it up on my website. It's probably still there if you look for it. But and what happened is he, in the description, got the name wrong. He didn't put my name with the Bullets Bourbon issue. So it looked like somebody else wrote Bullets Bourbon. And, that obviously peeved me quite a bit. So I got a YouTube account just to write to him and tell him, you know, you got the wrong name up there. It's Bullets Bourbon by Johnny Torch, not by whoever it was there. And I don't think he ever fixed it, to be quite honest with you. He just ignored me completely. But I've written to him a couple other times. And from there, I always say the second person, the other person that kind of inspired me to do videos was Oliver Harper. I've never really had any contact with Oliver Harper. I probably left a comment or two that he may or may not have seen, but that was kind of, along with Superhero Rewind, kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to do the, you know, retrospective / review show that would sort of, you know, I kind of wanted to do it in a short format. If you look at all my early videos that are like that, they're all between 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes tops for some of them, like the Wonder Woman TV show review, which is one of my most popular videos. That's 20 minutes. The rest of them are about 10, maybe. And then, as I said, I'm still in the process of trying to find another laptop. The one I have is basically a notebook, which is, you know, serviceable for certain functions, but you really can't do good editing on it. It doesn't have the memory required. I can't really do my books very well on this either, the coloring and editing. So I'm in the process of getting another computer. So that stuff will hopefully come back pretty soon. But that was the original intention. Now I'm starting to do live streams like just about everybody else. I mean, the other guys that I watch now, like Ethan Van Shriver and well, there's a lot of guys that are doing it. The Quartering, Geeks and Gamers, John Talk Star Wars, SC Reviews. He does live streams sometimes. I don't think he's as big for live streams, maybe. But yeah, I watch those guys. And, you know, when I started watching them guys doing stuff, it's like, you know, I can do live streams just as well as the recorded videos. So why not? So that's kind of more what I'm doing nowadays, which is easier for me, honestly. I can just turn on the recorder and just go to town. I don't have to worry so much about editing, getting images up, and so on and so forth. It probably takes the same amount of time, in all honesty, because, you know, basically I used to be able to do a 10-minute video and edit it in about 3 hours' time. Now I set up a live stream. I have to get the, you know, I try to get a few images. I try to get the tags to be as complete as possible, which is really a chore. I mean, I use rapid tags sometimes, but when you have like 75 different subjects that we're going to be tackling, you can't really feed that into a rapid tag machine and expect to get, you know, then I have to edit out like about 75% of it and just take the salient ones. It's either way you look at it, it's still going to take me time. But yeah, there you go. Like I said, I was hoping this could be like a Q&A, but I don't have enough viewers to give me enough questions. I considered maybe doing a, what do they call them? I lost my track of thought. You know, a companion video, so that when you watch a movie, commentary, that's the word I'm looking for, commentary. And you know, nobody gave me any suggestions. I'm not really sure what would be interesting. If commentary is something you'd like, let me know, and I will try to do a couple of them, even beyond this 100th episode. I would still like to do a commentary or two. It depends, though. It has to be something that I know a lot about, because, I mean, I could throw on just anything and still do a video, but, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm the kind of person that when I listen to somebody do the commentary, and I probably said this before, but I hate people that do spotty commentaries where they shut up for like 10 minutes and watch a scene and don't say nothing, and then they come back and they talk, and then they stop again and then leave another 10 minutes of dead air. If I'm watching a commentary, I want to hear you talk about whatever it is we're watching. I don't want to hear, you know, just like dead air. I want to hear what you had for breakfast. I want to hear, you know, what your favorite musical band is. You know what I mean? Just tell me something. Just talk about it. Because if I wanted to watch the movie without any commentary, I would watch the movie without any commentary. Tell me something. Tell me something about yourself as the director or writer or actor, even if it isn't directly, you know, a part of the story at hand, the movie at hand, or whatever it is, the TV episode at hand. But just tell me something. All right, let's get to it now. We've spent a good 10 minutes here on some nostalgia, some thank yous, some welcoming stuff, but we still have a lot of stuff to talk about. As usual, every year around this time, Geekmas, as I call it, Geek Christmas, we have trailers. And as usual, I'm going to break this down into two separate videos to cover all the stuff that goes on at Comic-Con. We're going to do one today. Probably going to do one Monday. Again, I don't like to make promises, but Monday is usually a safe day for me to sit down and spend 3 or 4 hours working on this. Saturday here, we've got a lot of trailer stuff to talk about, so it's going to be mostly trailers today. Then probably the Sunday stuff, I think, is a lot of panels. They're going to have panels for the CW shows. They're going to have a panel for Cloak and Dagger, I believe. So I'm going to try to see these panels online, which is very difficult because the best that you can get is like the highlights. And I'd rather see a whole panel rather than highlights, but you don't see the whole panels until probably a week after. So I have to go by the little snippets that I can find. So if you were really there at Comic-Con, you probably know more than what they're showing. All right, but first up here, let's take this first story. This wasn't really part of Comic-Con. This has to do with the proposed Stargirl TV series that they are going to make for DC Universe. It's probably not connected to the CW verse, so I don't think we're going to get the same actress who played Stargirl on Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know the actress's name, but she was pretty good. And apparently Stargirl is not part of the World War II generation, which is what I was led to believe from Legends of Tomorrow. Okay, it says here in this press release, Jeff Johns revealed during his panel that he will write, executive produce a 13-episode scripted original series. The project hails from Warner Brothers Television and Greg Berlanti's studio-based Berlanti Productions, with Sarah Schreider also serving as an executive producer. That's kind of interesting. So it's still under the banner of Greg Berlanti's production company. So this could have something to do with the Arrowverse. Could it still be her? I don't know. I don't think so, because like I said, if you read this here, it doesn't sound like it. All right. The series is set to premiere in 2019. Stargirl follows high school sophomore Courtney Whitmore, who inspires an unlikely group of young heroes to stop villains of the past. The show reimagines Stargirl and the very first superhero team, the Justice Society of America, in a fun, exciting, and unpredictable series. So again, she is tied to the Justice Society of America. Apparently, this might be a period piece. I don't know. Stop the villains of the past kind of suggests that they're going to make this modern day. But if I remember Justice League Unlimited, it was a modern day heroine that she was, fitting into the current incarnation of the Justice League of America. Unless I missed something, I'm not sure. But let me know what you think about Stargirl and the apparent live-action series she's going to get. And hopefully it'll be a good one because, we kind of have our doubts about DC Universe so far. Titans look so-so. I'm not ready to give up on it yet. I think that it could be decent, but I don't know. All sources are sort of pointing to it being a little bit underwhelming, kind of a disaster. I don't want to go that far. All right, next up, we have the news broke also at Comic-Con that we are getting the Return of the Jedi. Yes, not quite, but the Return of the Clone Wars. Boy, do they look old here, don't they? Looks like Anakin's got gray hair. Anakin, you're like 25 years old, dude. Don't be graying yet. You got plenty of time for that. Oh, well, I guess not. He's not going to have any hair by the end of the Clone Wars. But let's see. According to StarWars.com, the show will return with a new season of 12 additional episodes via Disney's direct-to-consumer streaming service, which is expected to launch sometime next year. This is kind of interesting because is this going to be? They're kind of hyping this as the end of the Clone Wars, and this is going to tie like directly to Revenge of the Sith by the end of it. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, because apparently the Clone Wars 2D animated show was supposed to be that. That was supposed to be like the, they just left the battle with Grievous, and then the next thing is the movie Revenge of the Sith. So I don't know if this is supposed to be like a handoff to the film. Probably not. But yeah, the animation looks good. It looks like Obi-Wan and Anakin are, like I said, a little bit older looking here. They look like they're actually in their Revenge of the Sith incarnations. That, this is now going straight to the next period of their lives. The trailer starts with the clones, some nice ambiance that reminds you of all that we've been through with these clones, and the helmets lined up and then they're destroyed. It's really, really cool. So Anakin and Obi-Wan are at this base. They confront a hologram of Ahsoka Tano, who is standing with a female Mandalorian, which a lot of people are saying is to herald the Mandalorian sieges. So that looks pretty cool. The only problem I have with this is they really shot themselves in the foot, because we know that Ahsoka survives. Now, I'm not the kind of person, a lot of people bash prequels to begin with, because they say, how can I have any drama or expectation when I know for a fact that the protagonists are going to survive? But, in this case especially, you already know Anakin and Obi-Wan, their destinies are set. But now we know Ahsoka's destiny is set. We already know she's going to fight, Anakin / Vader in Rebels. And I don't know, that kind of loses something for me. But this is probably going to be cool just to see how they leave things with Ahsoka. Because last I remember, and I'm not, as I said before many times when I talk about Clone Wars, I really don't watch them multiple times. I've seen the episodes once, and kind of once was enough. There were a couple episodes that I probably would earmark if I had the DVD sets or something to go back and maybe watch one or two of them again. But yeah, I don't really remember how they left it off with Ahsoka. All I know is she was, I don't know if she was expelled or she just voluntarily left the Jedi Order, because I don't remember, there was something going on with that Jedi chick. What was her name? Well, I can't remember any of their names because they're so unpronounceable. Adulia Lumiari, something like that. I'm not sure. But anyhow, she turned out to be a traitor, and I don't know, something went wrong with Ahsoka and the Jedi Council. Something went wrong between them. She ended up taking a step back and stepping away. Now she's coming back into the lives of Anakin and Obi-Wan. And again, we don't really know what's going to happen with Darth Maul, because, as I remember correctly, there was sort of this ongoing feud between Maul and Sidious, and Dooku kind of stepped in, I think, for a moment. Savage came in. I think he was killed, if I remember correctly. Again, I don't remember too well. But yeah, it's really exciting to see this coming back. I think, as I said on Twitter, I said, Disney, you can make a good decision if you try. And this is apparently the first good decision they've made, bringing back Clone Wars, finishing up the storyline instead of just leaving it high and dry like they did. Dave Filoni, of course, I believe they had, these stories ready. It was just a lot of them were in a half-completed state. Some of them they didn't even begin to work on yet. So, it didn't take too long for them to get this together and prepare to put this out, like they said, on the new streaming service. All right, so let me know what you think about the Clone Wars. Too little, too late, or are you going to be looking forward to this? There's supposed to be a series set between Jedi and Force Awakens that is called Resistance, I believe. I didn't hear anything else about that, but I'll try to bring you some information about that when I get a chance and look through some more stuff, all kinds of stuff. All right, we've got the Young Justice trailer, Young Justice Outsiders, which of course is sort of a homage to Batman and the Outsiders. That was the team that he put together after he left the Justice League in a huff, because the Justice League, as usual, don't understand Batman. They don't get him after all these years. I don't know why. All right, so the Young Justice trailer. I got this image up here because this is the only image I could find that honestly I know is from the trailer. I couldn't tell you because after the setup, basically it's just like a sizzle reel of action scenes and characters that are basically, you know, classic characters. Like we see Batman, the Flash. I think we see Wonder Woman. We see Lobo, which was pretty cool. I want to see the main man in animation again. That would be cool. He was great in the Superman animated series. He had like that Hulk Hogan voice. The main man. All right, so they gave us a like 2-minute recap of how the season, or I should say series, I suppose, ended with Wally dying. I suppose I don't really remember. Again, Young Justice to me was just serviceable. Another show that it wasn't like Batman the animated series. It wasn't like Superman the animated series where I could just go back to it all the time, throw it in, watch it. Loved 90% of the episodes. This was sort of just like, I mean, this was kind of like Justice League. I didn't enjoy Justice League as much as Batman and Superman the animated series. Justice League got too unwieldy with too many characters and too many story arcs. Not that I disliked the story arcs, because I think that's a highlight of Justice League. That's what they brought to the table, was they actually gave episodes time to breathe without, you know, cramming it all into 25 minutes, 24-minute episodes. But so we get the return to the team. We see Artemis again, alone now without Wally. And Dick Grayson is getting the team back together for one last mission. Apparently, metahumans are being trafficked. And I don't really know exactly who's trafficking them and what the purpose is, but there's some kind of monarchy or something, and the prince is a meta, he finds out. Anyway, looks like a lot of friends and foes show up. Looks really cool. Again, I think this is from DC Universe. I probably got a good chance of watching this because I'm probably going to get the DC Universe for at least a month and just check it out. And I'll probably definitely check out what's going on here. So, yeah, let me know what you think about Young Justice Outsiders. Oh, yes. Okay, well, let's get back to the Comic-Con stuff now. This is the I got a very small amount of notes for this, but we've got the Venom panel, and we're going to talk a little bit about what Tom Hardy and Riz Ahmed, I believe, was both there. From all sources, I've heard that they screened a small, like, sizzle reel or trailer, like some of them tend to do, without releasing it to the public at large, which bothers me when they do that, but I guess I can understand if they're saying that the effects are not completely done. From the description I heard, the action is dark, violent, and the violence is disturbing in one scene particularly where Venom bites a guy's head off. This is the description I got. Again, I don't have copious notes, but apparently he's going to bite somebody's head off. And this apparently is going to be rated R. Again, you know how I feel about that. My stance on rated R projects in the superhero realm, I'm not fond of them. So this doesn't really fill me with a lot of, you know, hope. Let's put it that way. I don't have very much hope for seeing this film because I don't like disturbing violence. I don't like gore. I don't like seeing people snapped in half. You know what I mean? I can't promise that this is going to be something that's up my alley. Apparently, Riz Ahmed's Drake, Carlton Drake, will become a symbiote by the end of the film. And they also hinted that there's a female symbiote. Not sure exactly, but this is based on one of the books, one of the comics that had the War of the Symbiotes or something. So expect to see a lot of symbiotes. This is not going to just be, as the movie has been portraying, just Venom and maybe just Venom for 15 minutes. Apparently, there's going to be a pretty big symbiote jamboree at the end. I'm not sure. And the most interesting thing was at the end where Jessica Chobot, who asked Tom Hardy if he's seen any possibility of, matching up against Tom Holland. And the director, I believe, was also there and said that, everybody wants to see Venom go against Spider-Man, and they are hoping and optimistic that eventually that'll take place. And Tom Hardy said that he likes Tom Holland and is willing to have a go against him, quote unquote, which sounds really fun. My only problem with that is I don't see how you can do Venom and not have Spider-Man in the origin. You have to have Spider-Man wearing the symbiote. That's the only thing that really ties them two together. You've got the symbiote and you got Peter Parker. And when Peter rejects the symbiote, then it goes to Eddie Brock. There's no two ways around this, and making Venom be a villain of Spidey's without having that shared past. So they'd have to make up something else. And to be honest with you, MCU Spidey hasn't impressed me very much at all. So they could change this just as much as they've changed everything else about Spidey in the MCU. Probably wouldn't make much difference at this point. But yeah, it looks good. I like Tom Hardy. I think he's going to be fun as Eddie Brock, judging by these trailers. Venom looks great in the CGI here. I think it looks like it's going to be fun. But like I said, I don't know if the violence is going to be too much for me. I don't know. Tom also said that he wanted to do this for his son. I think his son is a fan of the character and of comics and stuff, and this was something that he was going to find appealing. So let me know what you think about what we've heard about Venom, and let's move on now to the main event of the evening. Let's see, which one should we do first? Let's do Aquaman first, because to be honest with you, I liked Aquaman better, the trailer. This one is like the classic superhero movie trailer. It gets you right into it, and you start with the origin of Aquaman. We get to see, he says his father was a lighthouse keeper. His mother was the Queen of Atlantis. She washes up on his beach there, his reef or whatever you want to call it. And well, apparently nurses are back to health. We don't really see that, but they have a child who is, of course, Arthur Curry, the Aquaman. This, of course, is an interesting-looking piece he's wearing, but we don't see the actual Aquaman suit, the original gold Aquaman suit in this trailer. That kind of disappointed me, although I did hear that someone that was at the panel said they did show a clip of him wearing the Aquaman costume, the original gold costume at the end of the trailer, but we didn't see that in the released footage. But I would love to see that. And from what I understand, James Wan is treating this like the comic is the Bible. You know what I mean? He's treating it like it has to match up visually and stylistically with the comics. And he looks great here. Jason Momoa. He always looks great as Aquaman. All right, so again, I got a lot of images. Let's just run through them fast. This is Tamura Morrison. He got another shot. He got another shot after Green Lantern. I was, I was feeling disappointed for him that he wasn't going to get another shot, but he's going to get another shot here in a DC movie. I thought he was good in Green Lantern. I'm one of the people that didn't hate Green Lantern, and we'll talk a lot about Green Lantern, I think, during these two trailers, because both of them have something in common with Green Lantern. And I'm not just talking about Morrison being in Green Lantern, but I think the visuals in this film are very akin to Green Lantern, to be honest with you. To be totally honest with you, take a look at the, let's see, the Underwater Kingdom here. This to me looks like Oa, to be honest. I mean, I'm not saying it looks just like Oa. This obviously looks like Atlantis, but I'm saying you kind of see the strange creatures, the people all making up the scene here, and it just evoked Oa to me for some reason. I'm not sure. Maybe it's because it's a DC property and they all seem to have that kind of feeling. But no, I honestly thought of Green Lantern when I seen this, which is not a bad thing. Like I said, I didn't hate Green Lantern. I always hoped they would make a sequel. I think that there was a lot they could have improved on, and it wasn't a masterpiece by any means, but they could have still made a good second uh, film without sacrificing everything that had come before. It reminds me of Star Trek, the motion picture. It was terrible, but that didn't mean there couldn't be a sequel. I mean, I know it's apples and oranges because you really couldn't do Star Trek without the original cast, and they felt they could do Green Lantern without the original cast. But I felt like we got the origin out of the way, bring back Mark Strong as Sinestro, make Blake Lively into Star Sapphire, bring in Jon Stewart. There were so many things you could do, and they just kind of dropped it. I mean, I don't know. It was just the whole problem was the villains in that film. But again, I'm going down a rabbit trail there. Let's get back to this. So another theme of the day is bullies. There's a lot of bullies in these trailers today, and Arthur gets bullied. Young Arthur, he gets bullied here, and the sharks come to his aid because apparently they say he's talking to them, which I think telepathically he is. That's part of the lore, I think, where he can communicate with them. Excuse me for a second. Okay. But his eyes turn yellow, and I'm not sure what that signifies because he had strangely colored eyes in Justice League, but it didn't seem like it was something that was that noticeable. I don't know. Let's see. What else we have from the trailer? Let's see. Okay, we have... All right, Mera comes to him and warns him of Orm, who is planning a war against the surface. And he boasts the might of the seven seas is with him to destroy the surface dwellers or whatever. The underwater scenes look spectacular. They have like seahorses and sharks on opposite sides there. I didn't know if that meant they were going to war with each other. Because as you can see here, it looks like... I'm not sure if this is supposed to be Arthur versus Orm, but that's really cool. It looks like there's some kind of confrontation between them. They're going to have some kind of battle, I guess, for the throne of Atlantis. And apparently Tamara Morrison's character there, his father, accompanies him and Mera for a large portion of this film. And we see Aquaman raising a sub into the air. He bursts into the sub, and he has a great line with permission to come aboard. I'm feeling that that's going to be something to do with Black Manta. Now, I don't know. I guess Black Manta is not he's not an underwater character as I thought he was. I guess, he's not an Atlantean. Let's put it that way. Or is he an Atlantean? I'm not sure. But he's using a submarine, which kind of suggests that he doesn't live underwater. He can't breathe underwater. Again, I don't know enough about the character or about the situation. Okay, let's see. What else do we got here? Let's see. All right. Takes a few minutes here to get everything. But that was worth the wait, wasn't it? Oh, man, perfection. So Mera says he's worthy because he does walk in both worlds, the land and the sea, and apparently he doesn't think he's worthy to be the king of Atlantis. This is the point where they go on some kind of quest. It looks like they're doing an Indiana Jones type thing in the desert, and they're looking for something. We come back to that at the end, tag, when they jump out the airplane, and she jumps out first. And yeah, just look at her. She looks great. Amber Heard with, the comic accurate hair. People, for some reason, in the DC universe, hate redheads. The ones that are in charge for some reason. Just think of all the redheads they've changed. Lana Lang, Wally West, Iris West. I mean, they've changed so many characters from being redheads that it's just sickening. And we finally see an actual, honest to goodness redhead in the DC universe. Ugh. Hopefully now they'll do the same thing with Batgirl if they ever get that solo Batgirl movie off the ground, and we can see an accurate Barbara Gordon. It depends who's going to direct it, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful this might change things. All right, and let's see. Let's take a look at the Black Manta. As I said, it looks like he's in a submarine here. It looks like he's got some of those goons with him that Aquaman was beating up in the sub scene. And I don't remember the actor's name, but he looks really cool. He looks really menacing, not to be trifled with. Let's see a shot of him with the helmet on. And boy, does he look sick. Look at that. Right from the comics, right from the cartoons, right from Super Friends or whatever it was called back in the 80s when they started doing the version of them in the swamp. But that's really cool. We also see the Fisherman King. We see some kind of sea beastie, which looks pretty cool. Couldn't get an image of that, but I really wanted to see Aquaman take on some kind of sea beast. I don't know if it's going to be something that he faces or it might be just something that's, wrecking havoc down there. But that looks really, really cool. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. We see him blasting Aquaman on land when he's like running over rooftops or something. That looks awesome. I can't freaking wait. And mark my words, I think that Black Manta is going to be the villain of the season for this year. I mean, I think he's going to be the one that is really going to steal the show because we had Thanos and Killmonger wasn't bad. But to be honest with you, I think they could really make Black Manta the go-to villain of the DCU. I think they could, put him in Justice League 2, get him in there with a couple of the other villains that we're going to be, introducing, such as Cheetah, and we already got Luthor, which, if they have him act accordingly, Jesse Eisenberg maybe could still play that. But I'm saying, if they get the Injustice League together, or the Legion of Doom, whatever way you want to call it, but get them together, and, Black Manta looks like he's the bomb. He's going to really, everybody's going to be talking about him, I think, at the end of the year. All right, of course, we got Jason Momoa again from that Quest type thing that they're going after, which I'm not sure exactly what that is. But yeah, this was a great trailer. This got me hyped to level 10. I'm going to give this trailer, well, I'm not going to penalize it for not showing us the gold suit because I understand we can't show everything in the first trailer. You don't have anywhere to go from there. But this was worth the wait. We got to see everything but the gold suit and Dolph Lundgren, I think. Dolph Lundgren didn't make an appearance in this trailer, so I'd like to see Dolph Lundgren. But I'm going to give this trailer, I'm going to give it 5 stars. Yeah, I'm going to give it 5 stars. It got me that hyped. And I think that everybody looks perfect. They even got, they put a little more blonde in his hair to make him look a little more like what you know what I would really like? I think this probably would maybe be conflicting with Justice League, but I think they should have put a little blonde in his beard. It looks like they've only got maybe a little bit of highlighting, but if they put a little blonde in his beard, he would look like he came straight from the Justice League animated series, and I would be okay with that. I think they put enough blonde in him that it's passable, but still, yeah, I think it's a 5-star trailer. Loved Amber Heard, loved Jason Momoa, Tamir Morrison, Nicole Kidman. They all look great for the little brief scenes we had with them. They give you an idea of the story. They didn't ruin it. They didn't show too much. They show Black Manta, who looks awesome. They show Orm. Also, the Undersea Kingdom looks awesome. It's got me hyped. I can't wait for it. And it's, December 21st? Quite a ways away still. We got like half a year away. But, before you know it, it'll be here. And, it's going to be worth the wait. All right. Let's take a look now at the other one. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you. I really wasn't feeling this one at first. I watched it 2 or 3 times, and I feel better about it. But to be honest, I don't know if I really care for this tone. Now, the first half is about Billy Batson, and again, I'm not really that thrilled with it. They got Billy Batson a little bit older than I thought he was going to be because when they showed the picture of the kid who was going to play Billy Batson, he looked like he was 10 years old. And like now he's grown to be like about 12 or something like that, 12, 13. He's sort of like a preteen. And I always imagined Billy being a little bit younger than that. Again, that doesn't ruin the trailer for me or the movie or anything, but that's kind of, it sets the tone a little bit there. So Billy is running away from foster homes. Again, this is kind of what they had in the comics where he was an orphan. He kind of was like a sort of a street kid, I guess. He could handle himself. He's got the red sweater. He's got the red sweater that Billy always wore, even in the 70s live action Shazam show. That was very cool. They kept that. So he gets adopted, so to speak, and he meets Freddy, who is the handicapped. I guess it's his foster brother here in this case. But see, I honestly don't know the Shazam lore that well, so I'm not sure exactly when he met Freddy. Now, I know in the comics, Freddy becomes Captain Marvel Jr., and that he gets powers because Captain Marvel, a.k.a. Shazam, as he's now called, imparts some of his powers to Freddy because he felt bad for him being crippled. And when he becomes Captain Marvel Jr., he can walk without the crutch, and he's much better. He's much younger, I should say, as a character. He's like a teenager, Captain Marvel Jr., where Captain Marvel is, of course, a grown man. Of course, he's called Shazam in this book. Anyway, I'm not sure I feel, it doesn't feel like the genuine Captain Marvel to me. It doesn't really feel like the genuine Shazam. It doesn't feel like the genuine Billy Batson. So he meets Freddy, and as you can see in this image, that's why I got this image here. This is not even really in the trailer. I don't know what he's holding there, but this is from, I think, the photo shoot they did. But he's a big fanboy, and he's got all kinds of stuff there, as you can see on his shelves. He's got Superman newspaper clippings from the Daily Planet. He's got a Batarang. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be the actual Batarang that he found on the street that Batman used or something, but he's got a ton of Batman and Superman merchandise or whatever on the shelves. So he's a big fanboy. Billy apparently not as knowledgeable, as we'll find out. So Freddy gets attacked by bullies. Billy comes to the rescue. Again, we got to see the pure heart of Billy Batson. I'm not really sure that we get that from him beating up bullies. For some reason, I guess we're supposed to get the idea that because he came to the aid and he's a hero and he's protecting an innocent person, that's kind of what Shazam saw in him to give him the powers. I don't know. We'll have to see the movie, I guess, to see if it's more than just that. But that's all basically we've seen really in this trailer, and it makes me wonder really what makes him worthy. I don't know if there's a way to really answer that question, to be totally honest with you. But yeah, bullies again, two bullies in the DCEU. So he hides out in the subway, and he gets the magical mystery tour treatment, sort of like Willy Wonka, going down the subway. And when he comes out, he meets Shazam, the elder there. Again, they don't really give you a good look at him. As far as I know, like I said, he's supposed to look like Moses, but he looks more like Frederick Douglass. But in any case, he tells him that, to be honest with you, again, the humor didn't really work for me here. Now, that's really saying something, because I'm always the first to defend humor and lightheartedness in the superhero films. I say they're for kids. They should be accessible to kids. I say that the Marvel humor is 95% on point. I mean, they don't have a completely stellar track record for humor. I mean, some of the jokes don't land. I didn't feel any of the jokes landed in this trailer, particularly for the first half. The Billy Batson jokes. Freddy has a joke to Billy about this family is like Game of Thrones, and I honestly don't know how either kid knows about Game of Thrones, because isn't that like an R-rated film, and TV series, and these guys are like 12, 13. I don't know. So that didn't resonate with me. And then he says the joke about, you're looking at me like the dark handicapped kid or something. Is I don't know. I didn't find that funny either. So again, I'm just kind of like waiting for this humor to enrapture me. Then we get the joke here where Shazam tells him, say my name so I can give you my powers, which is sort of like the most, I don't know, strangest, recommendation to give. I don't know. Anyway, so he says, I don't know your name, sir. And he says, Shazam. And then he says, are you for real? Again, it didn't feel like this kid is like worthy if he's going to be like smart about it and being a wise guy. I mean, he calls him sir, I guess is supposed to show respect, but I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me. I don't know. I'm like, this is supposed to be a strong mythical moment where we have the powers of the gods bestowed upon a mortal. And I don't know. I think this is probably the way people felt about Thor Ragnarok. Because a lot of people were like, oh, Ragnarok is the death of the gods and the apocalypse on Asgard. And they're making jokes about it. And they're, being flippant. And, and I'm like, I don't know. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun. I don't know. I was happy with it. But here, for some reason, I seem to be taking that old grump opinion, I guess, where I'm like, this is supposed to be mythic, isn't it? This is supposed to be like the earth shakes because he's turning into Shazam, and it's kind of just a joke. And I don't know. I was kind of hoping it was going to resonate with me more, and I was going to feel something. But I'm like, I don't know. So he becomes Shazam, as you see here. And let's see. Let me see what else we got here for images. Now he shows himself to Freddy, and we actually get to see him hood up, which was something I was, oh my God, if you haven't seen that, looking at you in the mirror, I mean, in the window, excuse me, in the mirror too. I mean, if Billy looks at himself and sees that, he's going to be terrified. But Freddy, I would be terrified too, but he puts a paper on the window, says, don't scream. I admit that was kind of funny, the paper, and then seeing his face like this, that was kind of funny. So I think that the humor started working on me a little more afterwards. But again, I'm not sure. From my understanding of Captain Marvel lore, and again, I've only had a handful of comics of Captain Marvel. I liked the character as a kid, but they weren't really on store shelves all the time. When I went to grab something, it was Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, whatever. But I never really seen Captain Marvel really competing for shelf space. So I got like 5 or 6 comics through my whole life as a kid. And 1 or 2 of them were probably guest starring Superman, or Superman had him guest starring in his book or something like that. But from what I understand, Captain Marvel has the wisdom of Solomon. I even asked somebody on Twitter, one of the foremost leading experts on Captain Marvel, who apparently isn't very happy with the what we know about the film. Of course, nobody's seen the film, and he said, as I asked, is Captain Marvel a separate persona from Billy Batson, or is it just Billy Batson, with an adult body? Because basically what you have with He-Man is it's really Prince Adam's mind, but with greater acumen. And he's got a more masculine and heroic body, something he probably wouldn't be allowed to have nowadays. But anyway, and he told me that basically the original conception of Captain Marvel was that Captain Marvel was a different persona, and that Billy was Billy and Marvel was Marvel, and never the twain shall meet. But in more recent times, Rob, what was his name? I'm terrible with names. He's actually a pretty good writer. Oh, Roy Thomas, that's his name. Roy Thomas. He was a good writer back in the Spider-Man days. I liked his Spider-Man stuff. But Roy Thomas apparently made a reboot or something, a new take on the character where it's basically Billy in the body of a grown man. Now, we knew this was going to be the case, so this doesn't really shock or disappoint me too much because I was prepared for it. But as I said, if you have a character with the wisdom of Solomon, he should be able to know the fundamentals of his powers. And I guess that would take some of the fun away from what part of the fun for a superhero origin for me always has been is the training / learning about their powers. I mean, I like seeing Batman train to be Batman. I like seeing Spider-Man learn about his powers and trying to learn how to use them. But with the Wisdom of Solomon, if you have your character saying something like, I don't even know how to pee in this suit, to me, you kind of lost something about the character. The Wisdom of Solomon, it should be enough to have you at least understand the fundamental aspects of how to take off a costume. You know what I'm saying? So again, another joke that fell flat to me. Now we have the training montage, and that was pretty cool. He learns about strength. He's punching through walls. He's trying to learn how to fly. He gets basically a tall leap in. He doesn't really fly at that point. Then we have this thing where he tests his powers of electricity by charging the phones of people going by. Again, another joke that didn't really land for me. I don't know. I mean, it probably has to do with the context of the scene. I mean, these people are walking by this guy looking like, an Adonis in a light up chest piece with a flowing white cape, and they're just walking by him as he's shooting electricity at them. And while I guess that's supposed to be funny, the context for me is not, it's just not funny. I don't understand it. It's the kind of thing that I think, again, we were talking about Green Lantern before. I think it's the attempt of trying to put too much humor in it. For some reason, when the Marvel films do this, it seems more organic. With this and with Green Lantern, all the humor to me felt like someone sitting down in a room and writing what they thought was funny, and then trying to show that in live action, and it didn't translate as well as on the page. It's like comedy writers sitting down and saying, well, wouldn't it be funny if Captain Marvel uses electricity to try to start somebody's iPhone or something? And it's like, oh yeah, that's a good one, Steve. Okay, let's put that one in. And how's about well, Billy doesn't know anything about. Well, he doesn't know how to pee in that suit. Yeah, that's great, Dave. All right, come on, put that one down. It's like, it feels to me too much like they're professional joke writers trying to do something in the story. It's different to me than from like Marvel jokes, which I'm trying to think of some Marvel jokes. I'm trying to think of Marvel jokes that didn't work. The only Marvel jokes that didn't work were like the mildly offensive ones. You know what I mean? Like, well, I can't say them because they're mildly offensive. But anyway, most of the humor's on point. I mean, I can think of a failed joke is like in Civil War when Spider-Man's going, we're on the snow planet with the walking thingies. And, what is Peter Parker from, another planet? I mean, everybody knows about Star Wars. And especially in the Homecoming, they show him making a Death Star with Ned. And so they kind of negated the purpose behind the first joke of him not knowing enough about Star Wars. Stuff like that. All right, so he comes up against Dr. Sylvana. We get to see a brief glimpse of Dr. Sylvana, which I couldn't get an image of him up. I felt bad. But I'm lucky to find as many images as I did because, when you're doing it the same day, a lot of people didn't take screenshots yet. But he's like, oh, cool, you're a supervillain? I'm going to take you out. And it ain't that easy. We don't get to see enough about Dr. Sylvana to really make determination about how good or bad he'll be as a villain, but he doesn't look like the kind of Sylvana I remember from the comics, which was sort of like a diminutive little guy with glasses and the quintessential mad scientist. The guy, looks buff. It's Mark Strong, of course, another guy that got another shot at the apple from Green Lantern in the DCEU. Now he's, Dr. Sylvana, when he could have been a nice Sinestro or good Sinestro, but unfortunately, yeah, that kind of didn't happen. So, hopefully he'll do good with this one. I don't know. All right, so the next thing happens. Now, this is where I actually, like I said, I like the training montage or whatever you want to call that. That was pretty cool. But what I really liked here was gosh, he looked so goofy. I have to admit, though, I love the costume still. It looks great. It's like straight from the page. And DCEU is now telling you, they're saying, all right, look, you didn't like Zack Snyder. You didn't like Zack Snyder giving you the grays and the sepia tones and the gloom and the rain and the drawn looking faces. You know what we're going to give you? We're going to give you 4 colors right off the page. Costumes are going to look exactly like they're supposed to. Hair colors are going to look like they're supposed to. Hairdos are going to look like they're supposed to. We're going to give you the goofy looking shots like this one. It's, you know, it's just, it's from one extreme to the other, but I like it. I know a lot of people are making fun of the Shazam costume. Oh, it lights up. It's funny and ridiculous. I'm happy with this. Give me an accurate costume. Give me an accurate representation of the character from the page to the screen, and I'm happy. So you can tell me it looks goofy or whatever, and I'll point to you and say, I'll point you to Zack Snyder's costumes, and I'll tell you, does the Flash costume look any better? Does Superman's drab, colorless costume look any better? Did Wonder Woman's costume, when it was drab and colorless, look better? Batman's, to me, it's not so much the color as it's too bulky. It looks too bulky. This is a guy that's supposed to be swinging around on batarangs and stuff, and he looks like the Frank Miller Batman, which was obviously not going to be swinging around because he was like 58 years old or whatever. But still. So I love the costume. The costume looks great. So this was the legitimately funny scene in the trailer. I thought this was good. Oh, I also got in my notes, I love the transformation scene. The transformation scene when he's walking in like Christmas trees or whatever in the background. He walks, he says Shazam, and he turns immediately into Shazam. I love that. That's what I wanted to see, something like that. But, you know, again, there must be more dramatic transformations than that. That's what I wanted to see. I want to see a dramatic transformation. All right, so he finds out he's bulletproof in a convenience store when he's foiling a robbery, and the guys shoot at him. And what does Freddy say? He says something like, "You're bullet resistant" or something like that, which is one of the weirdest things to say. Again, I laugh at it because it's so like dumb, but I don't know if that's funny. I don't know. But then, you know, Shazam says, "Oh, I'm bulletproof," which, you know, which is kind of what you would think you would say when you're faced with the fact that you can repel bullets. All right, and finally, the last image I've got here, we've got, I thought this was really funny too. This is the one that made me laugh when he goes out and he says, "You're welcome for not getting your store robbed, and sorry about the window, but at least your store didn't get robbed," or something like that. But that was really funny. I thought that was cool. And I guess they still paid, and they still had to pay for the soda. And this is where you get the scene of them, the image of them drinking, I guess, soda. But that's really cool. Again, I didn't hate this trailer, but I can't claim to have felt it all the way. I mean, this was not a 5-star like Aquaman. I would give this one, let me see, I'm going to say 3.5 stars out of 5. I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars out of 5. I was going to say 3. If I didn't laugh at the last joke, I probably would have said 3. But I liked this at the end, you know. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a superhero." That's the kind of cool stuff that they're hyping this as. Big meets, you know, Superman or something. So that was cool, and I liked it. And like I said, the costume looks good. I like Zach Levy. I liked him in Chuck. I think he's got the right chops for this. You know, playing the sort of, you know, child in a grown body. I think if you're going to get anybody to play that, you should have Zach Levy. You know, to be honest with you, and I think I did this in another video, I don't remember the number again, but I suggested that Zach play Raymond Stantz in a Ghostbusters remake, or not, you know, he would be the Ray equivalent. I don't think they should like remake it and have somebody play Peter Venkman, somebody play Raymond Stantz. But I think if they were to redo Ghostbusters and have an all-new cast, I would say you make Zachary Levy the Ray substitute, because he can play like Dan Aykroyd, where he could play like the man-child. And that phrase gets tossed around a lot as a pejorative, but I'm saying that as a positive here. I mean, when you want someone with the childlike wonder, and, you know, like Ray had in Ghostbusters with "Oh, you guys got to try this fire pole. Oh, I think we should stay here for the night. You know, I'm gonna go get my stuff and let's just stay here for the night and see how it is." That's that childlike wonder, you know what I mean? Where he's not backward, but he's got that gleam in his eye that he wants to still enjoy the stuff that you would attribute to a little kid. It's like, let's go camping, boy, it's gonna be fun. And Zach Levy's got that in spades. He's got that in spades. All right, so again, 3.5 stars out of 5. This was fun. I'm gonna look forward to seeing more. I think another trailer will probably win me over more than just this. I think this was just a taster to give you the idea. This is what a sort of what the concept is going to look like, and to get you used to the idea of Big meets Superman. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's going to be cool, the movie itself. But like I said, I need to see more, I think, before I really make a full judgment on it. And again, we need to see a little more of Dr. Sylvana too. So yeah, 3.5 stars out of 5 for Shazam. Okay, so that about wraps it up, I guess, for another episode, another Torch News Roundup number 97. We've got our big 100th episode coming to a close. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. God love you for being here. I say it all the time. I love you madly for tuning in and checking out the show anytime you do, for as long as you do. I mean, sometimes I try to put chapter titles in it, timestamps, I guess is what they call it. Because, maybe if you're not interested in one segment, you can be interested in another. It depends. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends how busy I am and if I take the time to do it. But as I said, I've been a YouTube mogul for about 2 years now. And, I'm just happy to be here. I don't look at it as trying to gain a livelihood. I don't do it for fame. In the words of Hall & Oates, I won't do it for money. I won't do it for pride. I don't do it for fame. I won't do it to please somebody else if it don't feel right. I just want to talk about these things and enjoy talking about these things with you. I want to have conversations. If you're so inclined, leave me your comments in the comments below. I always read them, and I will at times, most of the time, read them on the subsequent broadcast and answer them there. Sometimes I answer them back in the comments, but mostly you'll find I'll do a mailbag segment and talk about them there. As I always admonish you, check out the link in the description below. You can find me on Twitter, where we have lots of fun with poll questions and other fun and games. We have my website, The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Comics, that you can check out in the description below as well. Of course, anybody that knows me knows my passion project, The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. I am still working diligently on the 5th issue. We have Pencil Neck and Carrot Top teaming up against our hero. And of course, I'd like to talk more about that as well. But again, I've always been puzzled at how to frame that, because I don't really want to show too many pages of the book. That kind of ruins the, why would you buy it if you can already read the whole thing online? So I don't show as many images maybe as I should, but I got to get a few more images up maybe. We got the free preview up. I always take 2 pages of an issue and put them on my website as a free preview, because I don't believe you should have to buy anything sight unseen when it comes to comics. You should be allowed to thumb through it. Of course, the digital download, only 99 cents. Again, less than a cup of coffee nowadays. You could check out an issue and see what you think. Let me know what you think once you've done that. Of course, the first issue is priced at $1.49 because it's a full completed story. So I kind of felt that it was okay to bump up the price on that one a little bit, because you get a completed story. The other ones, of course, are serialized. So I'm a firm believer that a comic shouldn't cost more than $1. I think $1 is the limit. That's how you get them into the hands of kids. That's how you get people interested. Because who can spend $5 on an issue? I understand that fully, because I don't collect too many comics myself anymore, because I can't afford $5 per 22-page issue. I go for the collections like most people. I get the graphic novels. But if you're talking about, individual issues like this, they should be priced reasonably. And Alterna Comics, I know, are doing a newsprint run. I've been very much interested in that. I would like to see if Peter can actually get something done with that for indie creators like me, because I know if you're in Alterna, then you're already part of that. But I'm personally more happy to be a self-publisher. I don't really want my comics under the banner of somebody else because too many cooks, people that are, you know, getting involved, the product is not pure any longer. It's not just coming from me. It's from me and him and her and them and someone else. To me, Bullets Bourbon is a project that I am responsible for, by and large. Of course, I have Letter Dude edits the covers, and he altered the logo from what I originally did. But I'm happy with that. I'm satisfied with that. But the more people you add to things, the more it becomes a collaboration, and that's not really what I'm looking for. Even though a lot of people say to me that I should put my name on the title in the comic, Johnny Torch on the cover of the books, but I don't really want the books to be about me. I should be the afterthought. You know what I mean? Like when you read a book that's good, you really don't stop and think about the person writing it. It's only after you read the book and you say, "Hey, that was pretty good," and then you think of the writer and you say, has he done something else? Has he or she done something else? That's where I want to come in because my name is in the credits, the indica, and everything over there in the inside page, but I don't really want to be the focal point of the stories. I want you to read the stories. I want you to enjoy the stories. I want you to lose yourself in the story. I don't want you to be thinking about the technical aspects of comics. You should be just reading a good story and letting it take you away for a half hour or however long it takes you to read one or more. But I want them to be escapist entertainment. And that's something that I really strive to do because at the end of the day, that's what we all need. That's what we all want. We want escapism. We don't want politics. We don't want SJW propaganda. We just want to read a good story, have it take me away from my daily problems. And, your problems may be greater or less than the next guy, but everybody's got their problems that they want to be taken away from for a few minutes. And that's where Bullets Bourbon comes in. And as I said, it's pure 80s action hero. That's what I was going for. I'm trying to, bring back the A-Team, Knight Rider, MacGyver, all the stuff I grew up with as a kid. The action heroes. I'm probably dating myself when I keep saying this, but it's true. That was back in the day, we had great action heroes. You had Michael Knight, you had MacGyver, you had the whole A-Team. And they were great role models for kids. I mean, adults watched these shows too, but they were great role models for kids. They weren't doing things that you had to shield your kids' eyes from. And that's the same thing with Bullets Bourbon. You want to see a good role model for the next generation. And of course, as I said before, I brought sort of a cartoon, sort of an animated series style aesthetic to it. I'm trying to make this a lot like the Batman animated series. Even the original Superman cartoons, the Max Fleischer cartoons. I was always very impressed by that, and so I was overjoyed when, as a teenager, and then they aped that style for Batman the animated series. That was always something that I loved. It was a mature-looking cartoon, but it was still cartoony. That's the beauty of that style. It's cartoony. It's soft. It doesn't have a lot of lines. There's not a lot of expressive features on the faces, and there's not a lot of lines on the musculature. But at the same time, it's mature looking. It's not like we have nowadays with things like, Teen Titans and She-Ra, and trying to make things look like some kind of soft, doughy looking anime light type product. So again, as I said, thank you very much for tuning in for our big 100th broadcast. You guys are the best. I am going to be back with part 2 because we are going to talk more Comic-Con come Monday when I get to see some panels and stuff, when we get to hear about what's going on with the TV side of things. Maybe we'll get a few more looks into the upcoming movies, because I know there was a panel for Wonder Woman I haven't seen yet either. Wonder Woman 2, Wonder Woman 84, I guess it's being called. We're going to look into that as well. Of course, there was also panels for Aquaman and Shazam, which I didn't get a chance to look at either because time delay on these things. But once again, I love you madly. Keep tuning in. Keep checking out the website and the Twitter page. And I will be here for as long as humanly possible, doing my thing and talking about Bullets Bourbon. So until next we meet yet again, your humble servant, Johnny Torch, reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.